कर दो मैडम।
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone can see the presentation. Anjali, can you see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we are going to discuss the cell signaling. And earlier I had also taken a session on cell addition molecule. So cell signaling, it is part of the cell communication only, because we know that the multicellular organisms, they need to communicate with each other in order to grow, in order to have different types of the processes. So how the cell signaling is done, especially in case of the mammals that we are going to study today. So to start with the basic, different modes of cell signaling are there. First type is the signaling by cytoplasmic bridge. So in the cell addition, while studying the cell addition molecule, we had studied about different types of the cell junctions. So gap junction is one type of the junction which is present in the cell, and it allows for the movement of the small water soluble molecules across the cells, so that the homogeneous condition can be maintained across the cells, and also the communication is done. So this is through the gap junction. Second is signaling by the secreted molecule. So we know that the signaling cell, it secretes certain molecules which then bind to the receptors present on the target cell. And then within the target cell, we can see different type of the effect, either at the cellular level or at the molecular level. Third type is the signaling by plasma membrane bound molecules. Now in this case, direct cell contact is made between the signaling cell and the target cell, which happens during the immune response and also during the nerve cell differentiation. So you can see that this is the signaling cell having the signal on its surface, which is binding to the membrane bound receptor on the target cell. And then there will be some effect or the signal transmission to the target cell. So if you'll see, broadly see the steps in that cell signaling. First, in response to some extracellular stress or any signal, there will be synthesis of the signaling molecule, then the release of the signaling molecules, then transport of signal to the target cell, where it will bind on to the specific receptor, and changes due to the receptor signal complex. So once the ligand is bound to the receptor, there will be some changes in the cell on which the ligand has bound, and then signal removal and response termination. So for some time the response will be there, and if it is not required anymore, there will be process for removal of the signal and also the termination of the response. Now, classification of the intercellular communication. So you all are familiar with these different types of the intercellular communication, in which the cell-to-cell communication, intercellular cell communication occurs during the development. So autocrine means signals target the cell itself. The signal producing cell or the signaling cell and the target cell both are the same. Sometimes autocrine cells can target cells close by. Now, another type is which is a kind of autocrine only. The signaling cell will be producing the signal, and it will bind to the cells which are present close to it and they are the same cell type, then also it will be called as the autocrine signal. So if they are the same type of cell as the emitting cell, then this is also autocrine. Example of this is the immune cell, like T cell, it produces interleukin 2. Then paracrine signals target cells in the vicinity of the emitting cell. Neurotransmitters represent an example. So there is some difference here. In paracrine also, the signal binds to the target cells in the vicinity, but these target cells, they are not same as the signaling cell. Now, endocrine signal target distant cells. So we know that in case of the endocrine signal, the target signaling cell is present in one part of the body. It produces some signaling molecule which travels along with the blood through the blood vessels and reach to the distant sites, and there they have their effect, or there they bind to the target cell. And the best example is that of the hormone. So that is the endocrine signaling. Then juxtacrine signals target adjacent or the touching cells. तो जिसमें कि जो साथ साथ एक साल present cell होती है, मतलब which are present in a row, they are the signal molecule, they bind to these cells. So these signals are transmitted along cell membranes via protein or lipid component integral to the membrane and are capable of affecting either the emitting cell or the cells immediately adjacent. So this is called as the juxtacrine signals. Now these are some of the examples of the signaling molecule. So in the first column, type of the molecule, उसका nature क्या है, whether it is acting as a local mediator, then what is the example? If it is a neurotransmitter, what is the example? And if it is a hormone, what is the example? So peptides, they act as a local mediator in the form of kinin, or the neuropeptides as the neurotransmitter, or the vasopressin as the hormone. So these are different examples of the signaling molecule. So these signaling molecules, they bind to the receptors and therefore they are called as the first messengers. So when the first messenger or the ligand, they bind to the receptor, there will be some signal transduction, and the secondary messengers or the second messengers are produced, which will then bring about different effects in the cell, either at the cellular level or at the molecular level. So there will be recognition of the signal, which is also called as the ligand binding or through cell-to-cell contact. Then signal transduction within the cell, there will be transmission of the signal, and then in response to these signals, there will be some response in the form of phosphorylation of target proteins or the modulation of the factor activity, either it increases or decreases, and reversibility of the response. That is, the response may be switched off or the terminated. So receptors, they are the proteins which are associated with the cell membrane or they are located within the cell. So जो receptors होते हैं, either they are present on the cell surface molecule or they are present within the cell. Again, when they are within the cell, they may be bound to the membrane of the organelles, or they may be present freely in the cytoplasm like a guanylyl cyclase enzyme. And these receptors, they recognize signal molecules by binding to them, and then this will bring about change in the cell behavior or the transcription of the genes. So mostly जो cell surface receptors होते हैं, they bind to the hydrophilic signal and then the signal transduction will be there. Whereas the intracellular receptors, they are present in the cytoplasm, and for these receptors, the ligands are small hydrophobic signal molecules, like lipid-soluble molecules, which can easily diffuse across the plasma membrane and bind to the intracellular receptors, or they can be small gaseous molecule like nitric oxide or the carbon monoxide, which can easily diffuse through the plasma membrane and bind to the intracellular receptors. And these intracellular receptors, they may be transcription factors, which may be enhancing or suppressing the gene expression. So primary, like I said, primary messenger is the ligand, which are binding to the cell surface receptor or the intracellular receptor. And after signal transduction, the molecules which are produced, they are called as the second messenger systems. So these are the examples of some of the second messenger system, like calcium calmodulin. This protein is activated in presence of increased calcium concentration. Then adenylate cyclase, CMP, enzyme is activated by CMP. Guanylyl cyclase is activated by CGMP. Then guanylyl cyclase, it is also an intracellular receptor for the nitric oxide, which is a gas. Then phospholipase C or protein kinase C. Phospholipase C, it will activate the protein kinase C in presence of calcium. Then phosphoinositol, phosphoinositol triphosphate, and diacyl glycerol. So these are some of the examples of the second messenger system, which are activated upon binding of the ligand to the cell surface receptors. And like I said, when the ligand will bind to the receptor, there will be signal transduction, and it will bring about the changes at the cellular level where some proteins will be activated or inactivated. And this kind of the response is seen, is very fast. It can be seen within seconds to the minutes time, whereas the binding of the ligand, if it is causing change in the gene expression, then it will require more time. It will slower type of the response will be seen there, and it will take minutes to hours. And irrespective of which kind of the response is there, ultimately it will lead to the altered cell behavior. Now we can see that the same molecule ligand, it can bind to the receptor on different type of the cell, and it can bring about different effector function. Now the receptors to which it is binding, it may be same on the different cells, or even the receptor may be different. Here the example of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine is taken. So here you can see that it is binding to the surface receptor on the हार्ट मसल एंड देन इट कॉजेज डिक्रीज रेट एंड फोर्स ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्शन. ठीक है, तो इसमें जो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन उसको ये डिक्रीज कर देता है, बट व्हेन इट बाइंड्स टू द skeletal muscle, so here you can see the receptor which is present on heart muscle or the salivary gland, they are of the similar type, but the one which is present on skeletal muscle, it is of different type, but it also binds to the same ligand, that is the acetylcholine, and here the effect is the contraction. So here it was decreased rate and force of contraction, it is in the relaxed form, but here it will be more contraction type. And in case of the salivary gland, when it binds, it causes the release of the neurotransmitters or the release of the intracellular metabolites. In this case, it is causing the release of the molecules. Now we can here see the role of the two things you can see here. That is how the nitric oxide, which is a small gaseous molecule, it is bringing about this smooth muscle contraction. And since it is nitric oxide, a small gaseous molecule, it can directly diffuse through the plasma membrane, and then it binds to the intracellular receptor. Now the intracellular receptor in this case is C-cyclic GMP, which is present free in the cytoplasm, not bound to the membrane. So here you can see that after the release of the acetylcholine by the activated nerve terminal, which is with these nerve endings, they are present within the smooth muscle cells. ये जो blood vessel का cross section दिखाया है, that is innervated by the nerve muscles. So there the nerve muscles, they will release the acetylcholine, which will bind to the appropriate receptors present on the endothelial cells. And after the binding, it will lead to the activation of the nitric oxide synthase enzyme. Now this nitric oxide synthase enzyme, it will cause the release of arginine. It will cause the release of nitric oxide from arginine. So arginine is converted into nitric oxide. And since nitric oxide is small, it can rapidly diffuse across the membrane into the other cells. And there it will bind to the guanylyl cyclase, which is the receptor. So nitric oxide, guanylyl cyclase, they are also example of the secondary messenger. This guanylyl, after binding to guanylyl cyclase will cause conversion or hydrolysis of GTP into cGMP. And this production of cGMP, then it will induce other proteins, which will lead to the rapid relaxation of the smooth muscle cell. So rapid relaxation of the smooth muscle cell will occur, and this will lead to the increased flow of the blood, because the relaxation of the smooth muscle, it will lead to the vasodilation, and therefore more of the blood flow. So this is how the nitric oxides, they cause smooth muscle contraction, or they cause relaxation in the smooth muscle. So various small hydrophobic molecules are there which bind to the intracellular receptors like steroid hormone, estrogen, etc., thyroid hormone, retinoids, and vitamin D. Now, when the signal transduction occurs, so once the ligand it binds to the receptors, it's not a single step process which will bring about the change in the cell behavior, but multiple molecules or the proteins or the different molecules will be involved in this, which will ultimately bring about the change in the cell behavior. So what these different proteins are called as, so we'll see a overview of them here. So after binding to the receptor protein, receptor will be activated. Then you can see latent gene regulatory protein. We'll study about this in detail later on. So this latent gene regulatory protein, यानी कि inactive form में proteolysis से इसके it will become active, and the active subunit will be translocated to the nucleus, and there it will bring about the transcription of the target gene. Then there are scaffold proteins. So what are these scaffold proteins? Directly they don't have any role in the signal transduction. वो directly कोई signal transfer नहीं करते हैं, but they provide a site where many proteins they can be held in a sequence so that signal can be easily transmitted from one protein to the another protein. Because like I said, many proteins are involved in this. So if they are present at one site, then it will be easy to relay the signal. Scaffold proteins, they just provide the binding site for various proteins so that the signal can be easily transmitted from one protein to another in a systematic way. So these are called as the relay protein, which are simply transmitting the signal or relaying the signal from one protein to another protein. And they are held together by the scaffold protein. Now, adapter protein is what? Here also it is not involved in the signal transduction, but it is holding the two relaying protein together. Okay. Then bifurcation protein. Now this bifurcation protein, its function is to bifurcate the signal into two different pathways. So this is the bifurcating protein, amplifier and transducer. Generally, these are enzymes, etc., and their job is to amplify the signal. So amplifier or transducer, so they will amplify the signal. So many small mediators will be produced. Then integrator protein. It will integrate signal from different pathways, and the effect will be transmitted for a particular effector function for the transcription of a particular target gene. So that is called as the integrated protein. So it is integrating signals from different pathways and then producing effect in one particular concerted effect in one particular pathway. Now anchoring protein, it is providing the anchorage to the signaling protein so that it can be hold in the sequence and activated. And finally the messenger protein. So function of the messenger protein is to relay the signal from one site of the cell to the other. For example, जो messenger protein है, they carry the message or the signal from the cytoplasm to the nucleus. And once inside the nucleus, then they bring about the transcription of the target gene. So these are different types of the proteins which are involved in various ways in relaying the transmission after the binding of the ligand to the surface receptors. And finally, resulting in the change in the gene expression or the cell behavior. Now, there are two types of the molecular switches which normally operate in the cell, and these molecular switches are responsible for the activation or inactivation of the proteins or any regulatory molecule so that any event it can be regulated. So when it is some activity is required, a particular protein will be activated, and when the function of that protein is over, then it will be inactivated. So that unnecessary metabolic burden will not be there on the cell. So one type of the signal is the phosphorylation. So you can see that here the protein is in the off state, but when the some stress or the signal is there, protein kinase will transfer the phosphate group from the ATP onto the target protein, and this in the phosphorylated form. Now this protein is in the active form. But when the signal has veered out, signal khatam ho gaya, phosphatase will remove the protein from here, and again the protein will be in the inactive state. So like I said, when the requirement is there for the protein to be in the active state, it will be activated by phosphorylation, and when the signal has veered out, yeah, khatam ho gaya, then it will be inactivated by removal of the phosphate group. And we'll see that the most common protein kinases, they are the serine threonine kinases, and second are the tyrosine kinases. And serine threonine, they will phosphorylate the protein either on serine or the threonine, and the tyrosine kinases, they will phosphorylate the protein on the tyrosine amino acid. Now, another type of the signal molecular switch is the signaling by GTP binding. So here you can see that the protein, when it is bound to the GDP, it is in the off state, but when the signal is there will be an enzyme which will causing the exchange of GDP with the GTP, and in the GTP bound state, protein is in the active form, and when the signal is out, there will be hydrolysis of the GTP, and inorganic phosphate is removed, and again the GTP is converted into GDP. So again, the active protein is converted back into the inactive protein because now it is in the GDP. So in case of the phosphorylation, we have seen that when the protein is phosphorylated, it is in the active form, right? But it is not always the case. Sometimes the addition of the phosphate may lead to the inactivation of the protein. In fact, the proteins or when their function is over, so we know that the turnover of the proteins are there. They are degraded, they are hydrolyzed into the amino acids, and these amino acids then they are used for the next round of the translation. So how the degradation of these proteins occur? So the proteins which are to be degraded, first they are phosphorylated and then they are ubiquitinated. So ubiquitinating enzyme is there, which will add the group ubiquitin group on the phosphorylated protein. And now after the addition of the ubiquitin, now this protein will be targeted for lysis by proteasome complex. So here you can see that the phosphorylation of the protein is actually leading to its degradation. So most of the cases, the phosphorylation will lead to the activation of the protein, but in some cases, the phosphorylation will mark the protein for its degradation by proteasome complex after it's tagging with the ubiquitin protein. और जो ubiquitin है, that is added by the ubiquitinating ligase enzyme in presence of ATP hydrolysis, and ubiquitin group is added to the epsilon amino group of the lysine amino acid present in the protein. Same way, most of the protein, when they are bound to the GDP, it is the inactive state, and the GTP bound state is the active state. But reverse may also be true in some of the cases. So I just said that there are two types of the main types of the protein kinases which operate during the intracellular signaling. They are serine threonine kinases, which is the most common type, and mostly it phosphorylate proteins on serines, and very less often it will phosphorylate on threonine. Now, other type are tyrosine kinases, which will phosphorylate the protein on the tyrosine. And there are certain occasional kinases also which can perform both the activities, that is, they can phosphorylate on serine or threonine as well as the tyrosine. Now, regulation of monomeric GTPase. So, अभी हम लोग ने देखा कि one of the molecular switch is the GTP hydrolase or GTP binding, right? Now, there are some proteins which are called as the monomeric GTPase. And they will regulate the activity of the GTP or the GTP bound protein. So you can see here that this is the monomeric, inactive monomeric GTPase because it is bound to the GDP. Now, guanine exchange factor, GEF, it will cause the exchange of GDP with the GTP. So when the GEF is there, GDP will be released and GTP will bind, and this is the active monomeric GTPase. Now this active monomeric GTPase, it has got inherent GTPase activity, that is the GTPase activating protein. तो ये जो monomeric GTPase है, इसमें inherent gap activity होती है, by which it will hydrolyze the bound GTP into GDP, and again it will be in the inactive state. So in presence of, or the most common example of this monomeric GTPase enzyme is the RAS protein. Okay? And this RAS is very important during the development, etc. And it is a very important type of the proto-oncogene also. So when it is GDP bound, it is inactive. In presence of guanine exchange factor, GDP is exchanged with the GTP. This is the active form, but this enzyme, it also has the gap activity through which it will hydrolyze the GTP and an organic phosphate is released. And again, it is in the inactive form. That is the GDP bound form. So there are two types of the GTP binding protein. One is the large trimeric GTP binding protein, also called as the GEAT proteins. Okay, and small monomeric GTP binding protein, जो यहाँ पे दिखाया हुआ जिसका example क्या है RAS है. So two types of the GTP binding proteins are there: large trimeric GTP binding protein and the small monomeric GTP binding protein, of which RAS is one important example. So two types of the GTP binding proteins are there. Trimeric GTP binding protein called as a G protein, which relay the signal from the G protein linked receptors, and a small GTPases or small monomeric GTPases, also called as the monomeric GTP binding protein. Okay, so in this slide, I showed you different types of the proteins which are involved in the signal transduction and which inactivate each other. They interact with each other and then they bring about different types of the effector functions. So how these intracellular signaling proteins, they interact with each other. So there are certain, the interaction between the signaling molecules, it is mediated by modular binding domains. These proteins, they have certain domains which are recognized by the other domain, and then the interaction, specific interaction between the domains occur. So we'll see that what are these modular binding domains. One is the SH2 domain or the SRC homology 2 domain, and phosphotyrosine binding domain or the PTP domain. Now, whichever protein they have this SH2 or the PTP domain, they will bind to the phosphorylated tyrosine in a particular peptide sequence on activated receptors or intracellular signaling protein. So if the ligand is bound to the receptor is activated, and the activation has resulted in the phosphorylation of the tyrosine on the receptor molecule. Then the other signaling molecule having either SH2 domain or the PTB domain, they can bind to the activated receptor on the phosphorylated tyrosine. Or they can also bind to the phosphorylated tyrosine when it is present in a particular sequence of peptide. Another domain is the SH3 domain, SRC homology 3 domain. It binds to a short proline-rich amino acid sequence. So if a protein has SH3 domain, so it will bind to the other protein through this particular domain, and it will bind to the other protein on this particular motif, that is a short proline-rich amino acid sequence. Then plakostrine homology domain or the PH domain. It binds to the specific phosphorylated inositol phospholipids that are produced in the plasma membrane. So pH domain, so any signaling molecule which binds to the PIP2 or the phosphorylated inositol phospholipids, which are membrane bound secondary messengers. So यदि कोई signaling molecule उसको bind करता है, so how that molecule will bind to this particular motif? Through their plakostrine homology domain. Some signaling molecules functions only as adapter to link to other protein together in a signaling pathway, and they consist solely of 2 or more binding domains. So like we have seen in the previous slides, that different types of the proteins are there or the molecules are there which are involved in the signal transduction, including a scaffold protein or the adapter protein, besides the relay protein or the messenger protein or the integrator protein, etc. तो जो अडेप्टर हैं या स्कैफोल्ड हैं, तो उनका काम कोई सिग्नल ट्रांसडक्शन में नहीं है. They are not involved in the relay of the signal, but they are providing the binding site for the signaling molecules, right? So such or the adapter molecule, their function is also to link the two signaling molecules. So in that case, such type of the molecules where their job is just to hold the signaling molecules together, then they have more than one type of the binding domain on them. For example, यदि कोई adapter protein है, उस पे SH2 domain present है, तो हो सकता है उस पे SH3 domain भी होगा, so that simultaneously it can bind to two different molecules. To one molecule it will bind through the SH2 domain. To another molecule it can bind through the SH3 domain. So you can see the example here. So this is one particular protein which is acting as a scaffold protein and which is holding different molecules together. This is the example of the adapter protein, which is holding the two signaling molecules together. So you can see that this particular protein, it has got pH domain through which it is binding to the inositol phospholipid bound to the plasma membrane, lacustrine homology domain. It has got PTB domain, protein tyrosine binding domain, through which it is binding to the phosphorylated tyrosine on some other protein, signaling protein. It has got SH2 domain, through which it is binding to the phosphorylated tyrosine present in the tail of the receptor molecule. And after all this, its kinase domain may be activated, which will then in a control manner, it will be involved in the, this is not the scaffold, but this through kinase domain, it can activate the signaling molecule. This is the adapter protein. It has got two different domains, SH2, so it is binding to the signaling protein 2, and through SH3, it is binding to the signaling protein 3. So that as a signaling protein 2 and 3, they are brought close together, and through the kinase domain, signaling protein 2 can phosphorylate the signaling protein 3, and then the further signal transduction will be there in the downstream. So in this particular slide, you can see that the same protein, it can have more than one type of the binding domain, so that simultaneously it can interact with more than one molecule. So three types of the intracellular signaling complexes are there. One type में क्या है, though the receptor is inactive, but it is bound to the scaffold protein, and on the scaffold protein, the proteins are arranged but in the inactive form. So when the signal will bind, the receptor will be activated, and then the signal will be relayed in the systematic manner from protein 1 to protein 3 and maybe up to the nucleus. So this is the first type, that is the preformed signaling complex on scaffold. So in this case, all the signaling molecules involved in that particular pathway, they all are present attached to the scaffold. Second, assembly of signaling complex following receptor activation. So in this case, the signaling molecules, they are not pre-arranged, but when the signal molecule binds to the receptor will be activated, and the signaling molecule, they will bind to the activated receptor, so that now the signal can be relayed. Third type inactive receptor assembly of signaling complex on phosphoinositide docking site. ये जो phosphoinositide है या phosphoinositol है, they are membrane bound है, they are bound to the membrane through their phospholipid domain, ठीक है? So this is the inactive receptor, and these are the specific phospholipid molecules or the phosphoinositides which are bound to the membrane, but since there is no signal bound here, receptor is inactive, also inactive intracellular signaling proteins are there. But when the signal molecule is bound, receptor is activated, it will bring about the phosphorylation of the phosphoinositides, which will provide the binding site for the inactive intracellular signaling protein. So they will bind here, they will bring about their activation. Here you can see one is activating 2, and then the downstream signaling is there. So here you can see that the assembly of the signaling complex is taking place on the phosphoinositide docking site. After the phosphorylation of the phosphoinositide, 3 phosphate groups are attached. So hyperphosphorylated phosphoinositides. Specific signaling complex formed using modular interaction domains. For example, in case of insulin, so it is binding to the receptor, receptor is activated, then this is the docking protein, it will, this receptor is activated, which will phosphorylate the docking site, phosphoinositide को phosphorylate कर लेगा, so that this docking protein, it will bind to this phosphorylated, hyperphosphorylated phosphoinositide and the receptor simultaneously. Through PTB, it is binding to the phosphorylated tyrosine on the receptor tail, and through PL domain, it is binding to the hyperphosphorylated phosphoinositide. Okay, and then it will bring about the activation of another, it will provide the docking site for the another adapter protein, that is the GRB2. GRB2 will bind here, and it will then bind simultaneously to the SOS protein as well as the scaffold protein. Now, SOS protein, when it will bind to the phosphoinositide through the pH domain, it will be activated, and then it will bring about the phosphorylation of the other proteins. And IRS1, it is the insulin receptor substrate 1. So besides the cell surface receptors, like I said, that when the ligand binds to the receptor, this change in the cell behavior, either because of the change in the status of the proteins, that is at the cellular level, or this change in the gene expression, that is at the molecular level. So there are certain nuclear receptor superfamily, which when they are activated, they enter the nucleus and then they bring about change in the gene transcription. So you can see that this is an active receptor, and it has got transcription activating domain, DNA binding domain, ligand binding domain, and also the ligand binding domain, it is occupied by the inhibitory protein, so that it cannot bind to the ligand. But when the ligand is present, ligand will bind to this domain, ligand binding domain, the conformation will change and the repressor will be released. Inhibitory protein is released. There will be change in the conformation of the receptor, and its DNA binding domain will be released, will be exposed, which can then bind to the receptor binding element present on the DNA. And the activity of this protein will be further activated by the presence of the coactivator proteins, and the gene transcription will occur. Now, there are certain also orphan nuclear receptor if the ligand is not known. So here you can see that this is an inactive enzyme. The signal ligand has bound to it, but still it is active enzyme. But when enzyme is causing the activated enzyme is causing the hydrolysis of some substrate, this product, it allosterically bind to the proteins. तो जो प्रोडक्ट बन रहा है वो फीडबैक से वापस से उसी एंजाइम को बाइंड कर रहा है, and therefore it results in the very active enzyme. So when this product is not bind to the allosteric site, the enzyme is active. It is bringing about the hydrolysis of the substrate, but at a reduced rate or the slow rate. But when it is bound by the product at the allosteric site, it becomes very active, and the turnover of the substrate will be very high. So there can be 4 classes of the receptors. Ion channel coupled receptors, or they are also called as the ion channel receptors, G protein coupled receptors, and the enzyme coupled receptors. So ion channel receptors, their role is to allow the movement of the ions, water soluble small molecules through them. G protein coupled receptors, so here we can see that the inactive G protein is there, which is present close to the inactive G protein. But when the ligand bind to the receptor will be activated, and the inactive G protein will also be activated. And after the activation of the G protein, this G protein will bring about the activation of the associated enzyme, so that the enzyme is activated, which will now bring about the downstream effect. Then enzyme coupled receptor. Here the inactive enzyme, it is present in the monomeric form, and it does not have any enzyme activity. But when the substrate binds, dimerization of the receptor occurs, and they bring about cross phosphorylation through their catalytic domain. उनका catalytic domain active हो जाता है, और ये दोनों जो units and receptor के एक दूसरे को phosphorylate करती हैं, and then they provide the docking site for the other scaffold molecule or the adapter molecule, and the signal transduction starts. Another way in which the receptor enzyme coupled receptors they can act. So उस case में the receptor doesn't have the catalytic subunit, but after activation they bring about the activation of the associate enzyme. So these are the inactive units of the enzyme. Signal brings about the dimerization and provides the binding site for the associated enzyme, which then becomes activated. So this is the structure of the ion channel. Ion channel domains जो दिख रहे हैं 1, 2, 3, 4. Typically four domains होते हैं per channel. 2 is the outer vestibule, and 3 is the selectivity filter, which will allow the passage of only certain molecules. 4 is the diameter of the selectivity filter. 5 is the phosphorylation site, where the phosphorylation will occur either in the activation or inactivation of the ion channel, and 6 is the cell membrane. So membrane transport proteins are there. So some proteins, membrane transport proteins, they are ATP powered, and they can pump out the molecule from the cytoplasm into the exterior of the cell. So here you can see that though the concentration of the molecule is ion is less here as compared to the exterior, still by using the ATP hydrolysis energy, they can pump out these molecules against the concentration gradient. Now, this is the example of the ion channel, where either it is in the closed form or when it is in the open form, it will allow the movement of ions. Transporter protein from the cytoplasmic side to receptor, they bind to a particular ligand and then transport it to on the outside of the cell. Then there are certain uniporter which bring about मतलब different type के pumps हैं जिनको uniporter, symporter या antiporter कहते हैं. Uniporter क्या करते हैं? They allow the movement of the ions or molecules from high concentration to low concentration in one direction only. Symporter, they can allow the movement of more than one type of the molecules through them, but in one direction only, but against the concentration gradient. Then antiporter. These antiporter, they have the property that they can allow the passage of two different molecules in different directions. Like this molecule, it is pumped out from inner side to outer side, and this molecule from outside, it is entering the inner side. So in two different directions, they can allow the migration of the molecule. So that is called as the antiporter. If the molecules are allowed to move, migrate only in one direction, more than one molecule, symporter. And if it allows the movement of only one type of the molecule in one direction, then uniporter. So most activated cell surface receptors relay signals via small intracellular mediators or secondary messengers, for example, CMP, calcium, which are water soluble or diffuse in the cytoplasm, while diacylglycerol are lipid soluble and diffuse in the plasma membrane. So calcium, CMP and calcium, they are very common examples of the secondary messenger, but they are water soluble molecule. They diffuse in the cytoplasm, but the diacylglycerol, it is lipid soluble, so it remain attached to the plasma membrane. I hope you all are understanding what I am trying to explain.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this slide, it shows that how the G protein, it responds to binding of the ligand and then the activation of the protein kinase A. So
when the signal molecule it binds to the GPCR. GPCR क्या है? G protein coupled receptor, which is a multipass protein, and it is associated with the G protein. और कैसा G protein है? Trimeric G. This हम लोग ने कहा दो टाइप के GTP binding protein है, monomeric GTP binding protein and the trimeric GTP binding protein. So this is the example of large trimeric GTP binding protein GPCR. और ये जो यहाँ पे GTP है, trimeric unit दिख रहा है, it is made up of 3 subunits, alpha, beta, gamma, and alpha in the inactive form, alpha subunit is associated with the GDP, but when the signal binds, GTP is exchanged with the GDP is released and the GTP is bound here in presence of GF. So the activation of the G protein will be there, and this activated G protein, now it will bring about the activation of the adenylyl cyclase, which is present close to the receptor and G protein. Now this activated adenylyl cyclase, it will bring about the hydrolysis of ATP so that CMP are produced, cyclic AMP is produced, and this cyclic AMP it will bind to the protein kinase A. Now this is the inactive protein kinase A because it has got 4 subunits. 2 subunits are called as the regulatory subunits and the remaining 2 are called the catalytic subunits. So when the CMP it binds to the regulatory subunits, the conformational change and the regulatory subunits are released from the inactive pKa and the activated pKa are produced, protein kinase A, which will then enter the nucleus and they will bring about the activation of the CREB, that is CMP response element binding protein. So inactive CREB has been activated. It will bind to the CRE element in the DNA, that is the CMP response element. Now this binding will be further stabilized by the binding by CREB binding protein. तो ये CREB है जो protein इसको bind करेगा, that is called as the CBP or the CREB binding protein, and the gene transcription will occur. So here you can see that the activation of the protein kinase A, it has occurred in presence of CMP, and the CMP is produced by the adenylyl cyclase. Now PK is a protein kinase. Now since this protein kinase is activated by the CMP, so it is called as the pKa. So here A stands for the cyclic AMP. So this protein kinase is activated by the cyclic AMP, and then it brings about the activation of the target genes after activation of the CREB. Now GPCR or G protein coupled receptors, they are the largest family of receptors. ये जो हम लोग ने देखा receptor, they are the largest family of receptors, and they mediate response to signals such as hormones, neurotransmitters, and local mediators like kinin, histidine, etc., histamine, etc. Our senses of sight, smell, and taste, except for SAR, depend on them. There are more 700 GPCRs in human and 1,000 in mice. And signals here include protein, peptide, derivatives of amino acids, fatty acids, photon of light, and all the molecules that we can smell and taste. So you can see that the variety of the ligands here, which can bind to the large family of GPCR. Now, same signal can activate more than one GPCR. For example, adrenaline activates at least 9 different GPCR families, right? Acetylcholine can activate 5 GPCR family, and serotonin can activate at least 14 GPCR families. Structure is common, a single polypeptide chain that threads 7 times. They all use G protein to relay signal. तो हम लोग देख रहे हैं जो GPCR है उसका simple structure है, 7 times membrane pass करता है ये, and it is also associated with the G protein. So when the G protein is activated, GPCR is also activated. So here it is showing that is how the adenylyl cyclase is causing the hydrolysis of the ATP and the formation of the CMP, and this CMP, cyclic CMP phosphodiesterase. This enzyme, it will hydrolyze this cyclic ring and the simple 5' AMP is produced. But when it is in the CMP form, it is actually in the CMP form for very short duration. Soon it will be hydrolyzed back into the 5' AMP. But as long as it is in the CMP form, it will activate the protein kinase A. Now, in another example, which is called as the activation of inositol phospholipid signaling pathway.
GPCR can increase the cytosolic calcium ion and activate protein kinase C. इससे पहले हम लोग ने कहा था कि जो GPCR था, it has activated protein kinase A by activating the enzyme adenylyl cyclase and producing CMP. So when the signal molecule bind, the receptor is activated and the G protein is also activated, and this G protein, it will then phosphorylate the associated phospholipase C beta, which is also membrane bound. So phospholipase C beta is activated, and this phospholipase C beta, it will hydrolyze the PIP2, that is phosphoinositol 4,5 biphosphate. And this PIP2, it is hydrolyzed into two molecules, diacylglycerol, which will remain bound to the plasma membrane, and the IP3, that is the inositol triphosphate, which is water soluble. It will move into the cytoplasm, and it will bind to the receptor on the endoplasmic reticulum. It will cause the opening of the ion channel, and the calcium ions, they will be released from the lumen of the endoplasmic reticulum. Now, this diacylglycerol, in presence of the increased calcium ion, it will activate the protein kinase C. So in this way, the activation of the protein kinase C will occur. So why this is called as the protein kinase C? Because this protein kinase C, it is activated in presence of calcium ions. So diacylglycerol and calcium ion, they will cause the activation of the protein kinase C. So this is called as the activation of inositol phospholipid. So we have seen that the PIP2, it is membrane bound. It is hydrolyzed by the phospholipase C beta after the binding of the ligand to the GPCR and the activation of the trimeric G protein, which will cause the hydrolysis of activation of this enzyme. Enzyme will hydrolyze PIP2 into diacylglycerol, which will remain bound to the membrane. It will activate the protein kinase C, whereas the PIP3, it will diffuse out and it will release the calcium ions from the endoplasmic reticulum. Now this DAG has two functions. It will activate the protein kinase C, and also the DAG is further hydrolyzed to arachidonic acid, which is then hydrolyzed to icosanoid, which have role in pain and inflammation. So they are called as the secondary mediators. Now another type of the protein kinases, they are called as the CAM kinases. They are activated by the they are activated in presence of the calcium ion and calmodulin. So CAM kinases, calmodulin is found in many eukaryotic cells, and they function as multi-purpose intracellular calcium receptor, controlling many calcium responses. And actually this calmodulin, it has got it is made up of highly conserved polypeptide chain, single polypeptide chain, and there are 4 calcium binding sites. So when calcium is bound to this calcium binding site, ये दिख रहा है, ये इसकी calcium binding site है, it is a single polypeptide chain. So when the calcium is bound to this binding site, it can bind to the target protein. So when the calcium, so it has got 4 high affinity binding site for calcium, and when calcium binds to it, it becomes activated, conformational change is there, and 2 or 3 calcium must bind before calmodulin adopts its active conformation. और 2 या 3 जब bind करते हैं तो active हो जाता है, and if there is 10-fold increase in calcium, there will be 50-fold increase in its activity. Now the targets of activated calcium calmodulin include enzymes and membrane transport protein. So this activated calcium calmodulin, now it can phosphorylate various enzymes and membrane target protein. For example, it activates the plasma membrane calcium pump that uses ATP to hydrolysis to pump out calcium out of the cell. So when the concentration of the calcium ion, like in just now we have seen IP3 causes release of the calcium ion from the lumen of the endoplasmic reticulum. So that will result in the increase in the concentration of the chemical ions in the cytoplasm.
So in that case, the activation of the calmodulin will be there because calcium will bind to the calmodulin polypeptide. It will be activated, and then this activated calmodulin, it will then cause the this plasma membrane calcium pump activation, which by using the APTP hydrolysis, and then it will cause the pumping out of the calcium ion from the cytoplasm, so that the normal level of the calcium ion can be maintained in the cytoplasm. So after the extra calciums have been pumped out, the signal will wean down, and the calmodulin, it will come back to its inactive form. So one of the effect of calcium are activation of the we have seen कि ये जो increased concentration है calcium ion का, it will activate the calmodulin, and then it will activate another serine threonine protein kinase, which is called as the CAM kinases, or the calcium calmodulin dependent kinases. So this calcium calmodulin complex, it will activate the serine threonine protein kinase, which is called as the CAM kinases. Now, some CAM kinases phosphorylate gene regulatory proteins such as CREB response or CREB protein, that is the C responsive element binding protein. In this way, they activate or inhibit the transcription of the specific gene. So different types of the CAM kinases are there, but the CAM kinase 2 is found in most animal cells and especially enriched in the nervous system. So nervous system में CAM kinase 2 सबसे ज़्यादा पाया जाता है, and it constitutes 2% of the total protein mass in regions of the brain. So here you can see the stepwise activation of the CAM kinase. So this is the CAM kinase, which is in the inactive form. And how it is inactive? Because its catalytic domain is bound by the inhibitory domain. Now, when there is rise in the calcium concentration in the cytoplasm, calcium will bind to the calmodulin so that it is activated. There will be change in its conformation, and then it will bind to the target protein, that is inactive CAM kinase. So it will bind to the CAM kinase and will bring about its activation. So the catalytic domain has separated from the inhibitory domain, and इसका यहाँ पे phosphorylation हो गया है. Now there will be this is the catalytic domain, which is now in the active form. It will bring about the autophosphorylation, and it will phosphorylate the inhibitory domain present on the CAM kinase. And now this is the fully active form of the CAM kinase, where the catalytic domain has phosphorylated the inhibitory domain. Now, after this, even though there is decrease in the concentration of the calcium ion, which will cause the release of the calmodulin from here, the CAM kinase will still remain in the active form. Still, there will be 50 to 80% CAM kinases which are now in the inactive form, even though the calcium has been released from them or the calmodulin has been released. They will be activated only by the activity of the protein phosphatase, which will remove the phosphate group from the catalytic site and as also from the inhibitory site. So in this way, the calcium calmodulin, they bring about the activation of the CAM kinase. And once the CAM kinase is activated, even though the calcium or the calmodulin, they are released from the enzyme, it will remain in the active form. So we have seen that how the GPCRs are activated after binding of the ligand. Now there are three modes of desensitization, because when the ligand has bound, receptor is activated, but after the function is over, the signal will be degraded. Then how the receptor should be then in the inactivated form. Otherwise, if it will remain active, there will be continuous signal transduction, and if it is resulting in the activation of the genes which are coding for some growth factor like c-MYC, etc., this will lead to the overstimulation of the growth and finally the tumor or the cancer development. So once the signal transduction is over, the required signal transduction is over, the signal should go back to, the receptor should go back to its inactive form in order to regulate the signal transduction. So सबसे पहले क्या है mode, there are three ways in which the receptor can be, GPCR can be desensitized. Receptor inactivation. they become altered so that they can no longer interact with the G protein. So they get modified, so they cannot now interact with the G protein. Then receptor sequestration. In this case, the endocytosis of the receptor occurs, and it is present inside the endosome within the cytoplasm. Since now it is not there on the surface, it cannot bind to the ligand. And third, kya hai? Receptor down regulation. They are destroyed in lysosomes after internalization. So in that case, after their internalization by endocytosis, they will be degraded within the lysosome. Now the desensitization जो हम लोग ने first देखा inactivation, it depends upon the phosphorylation by PK, PKC or a member of the family of GPCR kinases, which are called as the GRK. GPCR kinases. So as the name indicates, these GRKs, they can phosphorylate GPCR. जो GPCR G protein couple receptors हैं, उनको कौन phosphorylate कर सकता है? GRK कर सकता है. And it which includes the rhodopsin specific kinase RK. The GRK phosphorylated multiple serine threonine. So here you can see that the activated GPCR is there. What I am saying that once the signal has been there, then it should be inactivated. Otherwise, continuous signal transduction will there, and it may lead to the overproduction of growth factors or the transcription factor, etc., and the tumor. So after the signal is there, then it should stop. But again, when the signal is there, it should be activated like that. So when the ligand is bound to the GPCR, GPCR is activated, and the GPCR only stimulates the GRK, that is the GPR kinase enzyme. And this GPR kinase, then it phosphorylates serine threonine on multiple sites on the GPCR. तो यहाँ पर हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि यदि GPCR inactive है, तो GRK cannot be activated. GRK can be activated only after the activation of the GPCR. And GRK can bring about the phosphorylation of the only the activated GPR. Now, once it is phosphorylated, it will be bound by another protein, that is the arrestin. So the arrestin binds to the phosphorylated GPCR, so that now the receptor has been modified, and now it can, though the ligand is bound here, now it cannot interact with the associated enzyme or the ion channel, like we have seen in case of the adenylyl cyclase or the phospholipase C beta or the calcium pump. So here the binding of the arrestin, it will cause the modification of the receptor so that it cannot interact with the associated protein. Now signaling to the enzyme coupled receptor. So till now we have seen the ion channel, then the GPCR, now the enzyme coupled receptor, where the receptor itself has a catalytic domain in the cytoplasmic tail, or it will be providing the binding site for some enzyme. So these are different types of the enzyme coupled receptors. And here you can see that these receptors, they have tyrosine kinase domain in their cytoplasmic tail. That is, they have got catalytic domain in their cytoplasmic tail. Now this table, it shows example of some of the signal proteins that act via receptor tyrosine kinase, like epidermal growth factor, insulin, insulin-like growth factor, nerve growth factor, it will bind to TRK. Actually, I have seen in past that in the NET examination, this type of the combinations are there in the question. So you should be able to remember that if it is the signal protein, what is its receptor? Like I said here, nerve growth factor, it binds to TRKA receptor. Okay. Like afferents A and B type, which are involved in the angiogenesis, and they guide cell and axon migration, they bind to the EPH receptor. So we have seen in previous slide also, that is the binding of the signaling molecule. It brings about the dimerization and the activation of the catalytic domain, and further they bring about the cross phosphorylation. Or in this case, it is shown that if one of the domain is mutant, though one of the domain tyrosine kinase domain is active, but it is inactive on the other subunit, there will be no activation of the receptor. So here the example of the PDGF platelet development growth receptor is taken. PDGF platelet derived growth factor example is taken, and you can see that it has got tyrosine kinase domain and split tyrosine kinase domain. मतलब ये दो domain है which has got enzyme activity, and they will bring about the phosphorylation of the tyrosines present in the cytoplasmic tail. And this cytoplasmic tail, it is bound by three type of the proteins or enzyme: PI3 kinase, GTPase activating protein GAP, and the phospholipase C beta. ओके, रिसेप्टर टायरोसिन काइनेज बीच में आ गया. एक्चुअली पहले हम लोग ने ट्राइमेरिक जीटीपी बाइंडिंग प्रोटीन के एग्जांपल देखे थे. नाउ द मोनोमेरिक जीटीपी बाइंडिंग प्रोटीन. सो दीज आर द मेंबर्स ऑफ द रास सुपर फैमिली. ये अलग अलग फैमिलीज के प्रोटीन्स हैं, एंड दीज आर द मेंबर्स ऑफ द रास सुपर फैमिली: रास, रो, ARF, रैप, रैन. और ये जो प्रोटीन्स हैं, दे आर these are the examples of proteins of this particular family, and they are very important proto-oncogene, and if there's any defect in this protein, it will lead to the cancer. So some functions kya relay signals from these are the different functions which are also mentioned here. So RAS is a member of a large superfamily of monomeric GTPases. RAS, RAN, and RO, they relay signal from cell surface receptors. HRAS, NRAS, KRAS relay signal from RTKs. RTKs activate RAS via adapters and GEF. तो ये जो RAS different proteins हैं, they relate signal from receptor tyrosine kinases. और जो receptor tyrosine kinases हैं, they activate RAS via adapter protein and the GEF. So here we'll see the MAP kinase pathway, which is activated by the monomeric GTPase protein, that is the RAS protein. So this after the signal, यहाँ पर GPCR भी हो सकता है या RTK भी हो सकता है, receptor tyrosine kinase. So after the binding of the ligand, there will be activation of the monomeric GTP binding protein. So this is the RAS protein which is activated. Now the duration for which the RAS protein, it remains active, it is for very short time. And also the RTK that we have seen, it remains in the active form for very short duration. So what is required is the amplification of the signal transduction, so that the enough signals are produced and they can be passed on from the cytoplasm to the nucleus. So this is called as the mitogen activated protein or the MAP kinase pathway in which the amplification of the signal occurs. So सबसे पहले the first protein of the pathway which is activated by the RAS protein is called as the RAF or the MAP kinase. Now, so this is a kinase. It will then activate the MAP kinase, which is called as the MEC. MEC will then activate the ERK, and after the activation of the ERK or the MAP kinase, now they can phosphorylate various proteins so that there will be change in the protein activity, or they can phosphorylate some protein which can act as a messenger protein. It will go to the nucleus and it will bring about the change in the gene transcription. So this is the MAP kinase pathway for the amplification of the signal, because both the tyrosine phosphorylation and the activated RAS, they are in the active state for very short duration. And the sequence is RAF, MAC, and ERK. Now PI3 kinase. PI3 kinase, like we have seen, that it binds to the intracellular tail of RTK. यहाँ पे हम लोग ने देखा PI3 kinase, it binds to the intracellular tail of receptor tyrosine kinase. It is a membrane-bound enzyme. So PI3 kinase क्या? Phosphoinositide 3 kinase, and it remains bound to the membrane, and it phosphorylates lipids, जो कि हम लोग देखा membrane में present होते हैं, inositol phospholipids, and both RTK and GPCR can activate this particular enzyme, and they play important role in cell survival and growth. So the signals from the PI3 kinase, it provides the important signals or the signals which are important for cell survival or growth. Otherwise, what happens? That either the cell will enter the cell cycle, divide into new cell, or it will die by apoptosis. But for the cell to grow, what it requires that it should not enter the cell cycle and neither it should be killed by the apoptosis. Then only a cell will increase in size. And this increase in the size of the cell, it is important for the growth. So this is called as the PI3 kinase or AKT pathway. This promotes cell survival and growth. For example, यहाँ जो survival signal है, that is provided by the insulin-like growth factor. So it binds to the receptor, activation of the receptor, activation of catalytic domain, cross-phosphorylation, which brings about the activation of the activated PI3 kinase enzyme. Now this PI3 kinase, it will hydrolyze the PIP2, kinase, so it will bring about the phosphorylation of this PIP2 so that it becomes PIP3. Now this hyperphosphorylated PIP2, then it provides the docking site for two molecules, that is the PDK1 and the AKT. So PDK1 and AKT will bind to it, and after binding to the this hyperphosphorylated PIP2, PDK1 becomes active and it adds phosphor groups on the AKT with the help of the mTOR. So both PDK1 and mTOR together, they will activate the AKT. After phosphorylation, AKT will be dissociated from here and it will then bring about the phosphorylation of the BAD. BAD is what? It is an inhibitory protein. BAD actually क्या होता है? It has got role in the apoptosis. So this is here the BAD is anti-apoptotic protein, ठीक है? And it is held by the this repressor protein. तो ये anti-apoptotic है तो क्या होगा कि cell will die by the apoptosis. But when the AKT is there, it will phosphorylate the BAD protein so that now inactivated BAD protein is there. And this inactive apoptosis inhibitory protein is released. So this inhibitory protein is released, which will then inhibit the apoptosis. It will not allow the apoptosis to occur. So inhibition of the apoptosis, and therefore the cell will not die. It will get the survival signal and it will increase in size. So PI3 kinase pathway, it promotes cell survival and growth. और कैसे किया इसने? By sequestering the or by inactivating the BAD protein so that the anti-apoptotic protein hai, that will be released and it will inhibit the apoptosis. So actually जो BAD होता है, it is pro-apoptotic. So here we are activating it so that the inhibitory subunit is released and the apoptosis will not occur. So now this particular slide, it summarizes signaling by different pathways, 5 parallel intracellular pathways. So this is a GPCR and this is the receptor tyrosine kinase. So after binding of the signal, G protein will be activated because GPCR is associated with G protein. Adenylate cyclase is activated, CMP is activated, produced, which activates the protein kinase A. And then it will modify the CREB or the gene regulatory protein. Now, the activated G protein, it can activate the phospholipase C, which will cause the hydrolysis of the PIP2 into IP3 and DAG. IP3 will cause the release of calcium ion from the ER. Now, this calcium ions along with the DAG, they will cause the activation of PKC. Now, this calcium ion, it will also cause the activation of the calmodulin protein, which will then activate the CAM kinase and the change in the gene regulatory protein or the transcription of the gene. Now, phospholipase C, it can also be activated by the receptor tyrosine kinase C, and then the same effect will be observed. Now, receptor tyrosine kinase, it can activate the GRB2 protein. फिर अभी हम लोग ने MAP kinase pathway देखा. So, RAS protein is activated, MAP kinase is activated, and many target proteins will be phosphorylated or activated. This receptor tyrosine kinase, it can also activate the PI3 kinase pathway which will hyperphosphorylate PIP3, and then it will activate the PDK1. PDK1 will activate the AKT, and then the phosphorylation of many target proteins. So 5 parallel intracellular signaling pathways are there, which which are activated by the GPCRs or the RTKs. Now JAK-STAT. So this is very important pathway because they are activated by the cytokine. As the name indicates, cytokines, they induce the cell division, and they are also very important during the immune response, production or the production of the B cell or T cell in response to some infection, etc. So it is receptor kinase, tyrosine kinase. It is in the inactive form, but when the cytokine binds, dimerization occurs, and the two catalytic units, they cross-phosphorylate each other, and the tyrosine is phosphorylated. Now this activated, this phosphorylated tyrosine, now this JAK, they will provide the docking site for JAK. This activated JAK, now it will phosphorylate the tail of the receptor, which will provide the docking site for another protein, that is the STAT. After the STAT will bind to these phosphorylated sites, the STAT will be phosphorylated further by the JAK protein. Now, after the phosphorylation of the STAT proteins will be released from here. They will dimerize with each other, and they will enter the nucleus and bring about the transcription of the target gene. So the cytokines, they bring about the signal via JAK-STAT pathway, where JAK is the Janus kinase. And this Janus kinase, it is activated only, which is associated with the tail of the cytokine receptor. It is activated only when the cytokine binds and the dimerization of the receptor occurs. And since they are Janus kinase, they will cross-phosphorylate each other and also phosphorylate the tail of the receptor, which will provide the docking site for the STAT. After the STAT will bind, JAK will further phosphorylate STAT, which will be then released from the tail. They will dimerize and enter the nucleus. So till now we have studied about 3 types of the receptors: ion channel or ion gated receptors, then GPCR associated receptors, उसमें हम लोग ने पढ़ा small G protein and small monomeric G protein or the large trimeric G protein associated receptors, and then the receptor tyrosine kinase. Now, in the next, we'll study about the signal transduction, which is required in the intercellular signaling during the animal development. And in this case, the ligand will bind to the cell surface receptor, and there will be signal transduction, and some inactive protein will be proteolytic cleaved, and the fragment of this proteolytic cleavage will then enter the nucleus and bring about the transcription of specific target genes. So, how it is different from the pathways that we have studied before. यहाँ पर जो gene regulatory protein है, that is present in the inactive form. So after the proteolytic cleavage of this, उसको कह रहे हैं inactive form में latent gene regulatory protein. So after removal of some amino acid or peptide from this protein, it will be activated. It will then enter the nucleus and bring about the transcription of target gene. So 4 signaling pathways are there, mediated by the receptor protein Notch, activated by the secreted Wnt proteins, activated by the secreted hedgehog protein, and activated by the latent NF-kappa B. So you can see that the Wnt and hedgehog both are secreted proteins. Now, Notch is the latent gene regulatory protein, and delta Notch pathway. This is the most widely used signaling pathway in the animal development. And it has general role in controlling cell fate choices, यानी कि जो undifferentiated cell है, it will differentiate it to which type of cell. In this particular case, since it is very important in the nerve cell development, the example of the nerve cell as well as the epidermal cell is taken. That is, this pathway decides that which cell will differentiate into nerve cell and or in the epidermal cell. So these are the unspecified epithelial cells, undifferentiated cells हैं. अब उनमें से suppose ये कोई भी एक cell है, which has differentiated into the nerve cell. So after it will differentiate, it will start differentiating into the nerve cell. It will start expressing delta protein on its cell surface, which will bind to the neighboring epidermal cells through the notch protein. जो neighboring epidermal cells हैं, उनके ऊपर क्या receptor protein है notch, which will bind to the delta protein expressed on the cell, which is differentiating into the nerve cell. So the binding of this delta with the notch, it will send some inhibitory signals within the cell that so that the expression of the proteins which are required for this cell to differentiate into the nerve cell, they will not be produced. So they will be inhibited epithelial cell. Otherwise, what will happen if a cell is differentiating into nerve cell, brain में सारी cells हैं nerve cell बनाने लगेंगी, बन जाएंगे नहीं? यदि कोई regulation नहीं होगा तो all the cells they can differentiate into the nerve cell. But we know that the nerve cells are very long. So it is not possible that so many long cells will be there. It is not good for the brain. Matlab this will not be normal. So once a cell will develop into the epidermal cell is differentiating into the nerve cell, it will send the inhibitory signal to the surrounding cells so that they will remain epidermal cell only and they will not differentiate into the nerve cell. The primary targets of non-signaling are members of gene family known as HES, which encode inhibitory gene regulatory proteins. In nervous system, for example, the product of HES gene block the expression of genes required for neural differentiation. तो जो नॉच है वो HES gene को एक्टिवेट करेगा और जो HES gene है वो न्यूरल डिफरेंशिएशन के लिए जो जीन्स की जरूरत है उनके एक्सप्रेशन को ब्लॉक कर देगा. So here you can see that it is the notch protein which is present bound to the Golgi membrane. It is present on the surface of the Golgi apparatus and extracellular domain hai, which has got 36 EGF-like domain, epidermal growth factor-like domains hai. Now it undergoes first cleavage while it is still bound to the Golgi membrane. So this is the first cleavage, and after the first cleavage, then it is transported to the plasma membrane. So that means now it is present on the cell surface. And therefore, this protein, now it can notch protein, it can now interact with the delta protein expressed by the nerve cells. तो जब ये nerve cells के ऊपर जो delta protein उससे interact कर रहा, there will be second cleavage, and so binding to delta, endocytosis of the delta notch fragment and the cleavage at site 2. और जो site 2 है वहाँ पे cleavage होगा, and this delta and notch it will be endocytosed by the nerve cell. Now this tail portion, it will immediately undergoes cleavage at the third site, site 3. And this third cleavage is done by the intramembrane protease enzyme, which cuts many proteins within the membrane. So cleavage at the site 3. So now this is the notch tail. Now this notch tail, it can migrate to the nucleus where it binds to the site, it binds to the notch responsive element in the target site and bring about the transcription of the target gene. So here we can see that initially this was the notch protein present, but finally after 3 successive proteolytic cleavage, the tail of the notch protein is produced, which will then go and bind to the target gene. So it plays major role in development. Now another protein is the Wnt protein. Now wingless in Drosophila and int1 in mice code for the Wnt protein. And Wnt protein are secreted protein, but they have a fatty acid which is attached to their N-terminal end, so that the Wnt protein they can remain bound to the cell surfaces. There are 19 Wnt's in human, each having distinct but overlapping function. They can activate 3 types of intracellular signaling pathways. These are the 3 pathways which are activated by the Wnt protein. One is the Wnt beta-catenin pathway, second is the planar polarity pathway, and third is the Wnt calcium pathway. All 3 pathways begin with binding of Wnt to the Fissile family cell receptor. So all these pathways, Wnt beta-catenin or the planar polarity or the Wnt calcium, they are activated by binding of the Wnt to the Frizzled family receptors. और जो बीटा कैटेनिन है, it actually functions as cell addition and has function in both cell addition and the gene regulation. जो कैडेरिन cell addition molecules हैं, वहाँ पर बीटा कैटेनिन fibers उसको bind किए रहते हैं. And the beta catenin which are not bind to the cell addition molecules, that is the cadherin, such a beta catenin, they will be degraded. But if they are present in the free form, they are present in the stable form, they will enter the nucleus and they will cause the transcription of the Wnt target genes. So here we will see how. So this is LRP receptor and this is the Frizzled protein. It is a multi-pass protein and another protein is there which is called as the disheveled. Now if the ligand is not bound, disheveled, it remains in the inactive form in the cytoplasm. And then the beta catenin, it is held into a large degradation complex by two adapter protein, that is the axin and the APC. And this axin and APC along with the two kinases, that is the GSK3 kinase, glucagon kuch hai, and the CK1 kinase. So this is the large degradation complex which is holding the CK1 and GSK1 along with the beta catenin. So this CK1 or GSK, pehle CK1 will bring about the phosphorylation of beta catenin followed by the GSK3. And like I said earlier that sometimes the phosphorylation leads to the degradation of the protein after ubiquitinylation. So here the phosphorylated beta catenin, then it will be tagged with the ubiquitin and degradation by proteasome complex. And the Wnt target genes, they will remain in the off state. They will not be expressed because it is bound by the co-repressor, that is the Gaucho. Now when the signal is there, Wnt signal is there, LRP and activated Frizzle, they will bind to it, its activation will be there, and then the Frizzle will recruit the disheveled and it will cause the activation of the disheveled also. Now this activation of the receptor, it will also recruit the CK1 gamma and GSK3 which are kinases, and they will bring about the phosphorylation of the tail of the LRP. This phosphorylated tail of LRP, it binds to the this scaffold protein of the degradation complex, that is the axin and the APC. वो ये दोनों को bind कर लेते हैं जिससे कि जो beta catenin है, it is released, it cannot be phosphorylated and therefore it is in the stable form. It enters the nucleus and it brings about the transcription of the Wnt target genes. It will remove the Gaucho and it will bring about the transcription of Wnt target genes. So APC actually GSK1, GSK3 and CK1 or CSK1, they are actually kinases. Or axin or APC क्या they are the scaffold protein which are holding these kinases and beta catenin together. Now we have seen that if APC is inactivated, like here you can see कि APC has been recruited by the hyperphosphorylated LRP. Then beta catenin is released and it will then cause the expression of Wnt target gene. Now one of the Wnt target gene is also the c-Myc gene. c-Myc gene, it is an important proto-oncogene because it is a strong cell stimulator. And therefore, if it is overexpressed, overproduced, it will lead to cancer, which happens in the colon or the colorectal cancer. Now, the full form of APC is adenomatous polyposis coli or adenomatous polyposis colon cancer. Now, in this type of the colon cancer, polyps are produced within the intestine, and these polyps, they are cancerous. So, if there is mutation in the APC gene, then it leads to the development of the cancer. And also when the mutation is there in the APC, you can see that APC cannot hold the beta catenin in the inactive form and cause it phosphorylation by the CK1 or the GSK3. And therefore the beta catenin will always be there in the cytoplasm in the free form, and it will cause the continuous expression of the c-Myc gene, which is a strong cell stimulator, growth stimulator, and this will lead to the cancer. So the defect in the APC gene, it is responsible for the cancer because of the because of the increased stability of the beta catenin in the cytoplasm and the increased expression of the c-Myc gene. Now Hedgehog signaling. There are three genes which code for hedgehog protein in vertebrates: Sonic, desert, and Indian hedgehog. And there are three transmembrane proteins: patched, smoothened, and IHOG, which mediate the response to the hedgehog protein. So, तीन genes हैं for hedgehog proteins, and there are three receptors, transmembrane receptors, which will bind to these hedgehog proteins. Patched है, it crosses plasma membrane 12 times. IHOG है, it has 4 to 5 immunoglobulin domain, then 2 to 3 fibronectin type 3 domain. And patched and IHOG, they act as the co-receptor. So, सबसे पहले जब hedgehog ligand आएगा, so it will bind to both patched and IHOG. Now, smoothened in this case remains in the inactive form. So, जो patched है, it keeps the smoothened in the inactive form and sequestered within the intracellular vesicles. And when the signal is not there, another protein, cubitus interruptus, is there, which is a latent gene regulatory protein, which can activate various gene transcription. But in the absence of the hedgehog protein, CI is degraded, and therefore it acts as a repressor for hedgehog responsive genes. So here you can see that there are three genes which code for the hedgehog protein, like Sonic, desert, and Indian hedgehog. And there are three receptors for hog protein: IHOG, which has got immunoglobulin and domain, and fibronectin type domain. Where patched, which is a 12 membrane pass protein, and smoothened, which is 7 membrane pass protein. Now, IHOG and the patched, they act as the co-receptor for the hedgehog signal, whereas the smoothened, it is kept in the inactive form inside the vesicle by the patched. Now, there's one large CI protein. This CI protein, it is held together by the costal 12, which is a adapter protein, and when it is held by the costal 12, it is easily phosphorylated by the fused. Costal 12 will held it together, and the fused, which is also a tyrosine kinase, it phosphorylates the CI, and costal also recruits other protein kinases like PK3, PKA, GSK3, and CK1. They will all bring about the phosphorylation of the CI protein, which will be then ubiquitinated and degraded. And therefore, there will be cleavage of the large CI, and only a small subunit will be produced, which will then enter the nucleus, and it will act as the repressor for the transcription of the hedgehog target gene. So, when there is no signal, there will be no expression of the hedgehog target genes. But when the hedgehog signal is there, the co-receptors, they will bind to it, and there will be internalization of the patch and degradation in the lysosome. So, जैसे ही patch remove होगा, so smoothened that will move to the plasma membrane, and then it is phosphorylated by the PK1 and CK1, which will then recruit the costal 1 protein and the fused protein. So when the fused and costal 1, they are recruited by the smoothened protein, this CI protein will be free. It is now in the complete intact form. It will enter the nucleus, and it will bring about the expression of the target genes. So hedgehog signaling pathway transmits information to embryonic cells which are required for proper cell development. Path is equally important during the vertebrate embryonic development, etc. Now, one more pathway which is activated or which is involved in many stressful or the inflammatory and innate immune responses, that is the activation of the NF-kappa B pathway. Now, here the latent gene regulatory protein है, that is the NF-kappa B, और इसको inactive form में कौन रखता है? I-kappa B. So, in the normal case, I-kappa B will remain bound to the NF-kappa B, so that it will be in the inactive form. It cannot enter the nucleus. But when I-kappa B is removed, NF-kappa B is free. It can enter the nucleus and bring about the transcription of the target gene. So TNF alpha, it is a trimer, it binds to the receptor on the surface, and then it will bring about the activation of the IKK complex. IKK complex has got multiple subunits, NEMO, alpha, and beta. This activated IKK complex that it will phosphorylate I-kappa B. So after phosphorylation, I-kappa B will be ubiquitinated and degraded by the proteasome complex so that NF-kappa B is free and it will be translocated to the nucleus, and there it will bring about the transcription of the NF-kappa B or the TNF-alpha target genes. So this was all about different type of the signal transduction pathways which operate in the eukaryotes, especially in the mammalian cells, and which are required for the cell development, migration of the cells, pattern, cell fate choices, then the formation of a particular cellular pattern, like in case of nerve cell, we have seen that if one cell become nerve cells, other epidermal cells around it, they will not differentiate into the nerve cells. So these different signaling pathway, they also help in the pattern formation during the growth and the development. Also, PI3 kinase, we have seen that it provides the signal for the cell survival and growth, so that the cell will not die by apoptosis and the cell will grow in size. So with this, I end my presentation here. Any question? I have already submitted questions to Dr. Rana, so he must have passed on those questions to you all. Snehal,
Yes, madam.
क्या करना है? Leave
Yes,
करें?
yes, madam. No problem.
Okay,
Thank you, madam.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining the session. Already the quiz has been shared last week. Those who are still interested, they can reappear for the quiz. Thank you, and you may leave the meet now.
Thank you, sir.